Hi, this video is for you if you are looking to take an helicopter view on your life. It's also for you if you have been going through a big change and you want to check how it's going also in the areas of your life that were not directly impacted by the big change. And this video is for you also if you are experiencing a problem, a difficulty, and in one specific area of your life probably, and you are wondering what's the effect on the other areas, and you want possibly discover if there is some resource that can help you in these other areas of your life. My name is Lara Briozzo. I work as a coach, as a therapist, and as a meditation teacher, and I would like to share some thoughts and to share some activities about how you can take a look at your life and reflect a little bit, find out more. And I want to start with a really nice story that I heard a really long time ago, and it comes any now and then I hear it again, and it's just still so meaningful. It's the story of a professor that goes one day in his class with a big glass jar. The first that he does is to fill in the jar with ping pong balls. And when there's no more ping pong balls fit anymore in the glass jar, he asks the class if the jar is full, and everybody says yes. Then he takes from under his table another jar with little stones, the kind you find in gardens, the little ones. And he starts to pour these stones on the big jar where already the ping pong balls were. And incredibly enough, a lot of these little stones fit in between the balls, the ping pong balls. There was a lot of space left open. At that point, the professor asked again, is the jar now full? And everybody said, no, now really full. Then he takes from underneath his table again another jar of sand. He starts to pour the sand, and surely enough, there is enough space left behind in between the little stones for a lot of sand to fit. Now the jar looks really full, and when he asks to the class, everybody says, yeah, now it's really full. At that point, he takes a glass of beer from underneath his table, and he starts to pour beer. And everybody's surprised to realize that a full glass of beer fits still in the jar. The message that the professor wanted to share with his students was that there's a lot that can fit in your life. What is important is to start from the big pieces. There was also a really nice image of a glass jar filled with first really big stones. If you would start with the little stones, with the sand or with the beer, you would not be able to fit the big stones later on. So the moral of the story is starting with the big stones, starting with the big ping pong balls. The reason why I'm telling you this story is because the tool I would like to use together with you to look at your life, to take an overlook, an helicopter view on your life, is the Wheel of Life. The Wheel of Life is a really well-known model. But this story suggests that you choose yourself what is in your Wheel of Life. Normally it's divided in 8 pieces, and every piece has an assigned name. There's few variation, but it's a kind of a grid way to divide your life in 8 portions. The first thing I would like you to do is to choose your own a portion. You decide, are there 8, 6, 12, more or less. Take a moment and see what are the most important things in your life. What is your life made of? And as you do that, I hope you can take a piece of paper and a pen, and you can use the circle as a way to represent, as a way to start divide and find out how many areas you feel your life as. And later I will share what are the 8 areas that are normally considered the basis of the wheel of life, and you can see, do you have more, do you have less, did you forgot something doing yours. It's so good. It's actually really good information when you realize that maybe you are a bit under evaluating some areas, or maybe you are giving too much importance to areas that are not even present in the wheel of life. I'm just saying. So take it just not as a competition with yourself, but as a discovery. And this brings you also in contact with how you look at your life. When you wake up in the morning, what is your first priority, your first thought? Where do you invest the most energy in? In which area are your biggest dream? These are the kind of things that will become really clear when you start to work like this. And even if it feels maybe a bit challenging, a bit too much to ask to do such an exercise to start with, no one is going to check it. It's just for you to find out how you look at your life right now, actually. So as I have been, talking through it, you probably have a bit of a list already. So I wanted to share with you what are the areas that are normally considered the standard. And by doing this, I will tell you something about each of them, because you may have maybe consider the same area but with a different name. And the naming of the areas is also quite an interesting activity. I will tell you something about how I named the areas in my wheel of life and why, because I believe it could be relevant for you. A wheel of life, an area of your life that you probably have, that almost everybody has, is health. Under health, you can understand being healthy, of being sick, but also how you take care of your body, how you eat, how much you move. And health is also your lifestyle. Do you choose to live in an apartment downtown, or do you live in the countryside? That also can say something about health. There is a lot of flexibility. You can feel more than other and less than other in every area. The wheel of life, the way I like it, it's flexible, it's your own. You make it as you want. And that's also why I started with this exercise. The second one I would like to share with you, that you also probably have, is friends and family. This is one that sometimes is split into two, but in many traditional wheel of life, it's as one. And you can think here of the relationship we have with them. Are they close? Are they helping? How much time do you invest? Maybe there are members of the family that live really far away or live really close. I heard of people that live so close to each other that they can see each other from the window. And sometimes people like me live in different country from majority of my family. Loving relationship. What I want to say here, I choose really consciously to call them loving relationship and not romantic relationship, because words have weight and words have origin, and the origin of romantic, it's said really in short, romantic is something that is not real, that is connected with fantasy. For how much there is a lot of magic and a lot of imagination in relationship, I feel it's more grounded to call them loving relationship, because I hope for you all in this area, relationship are gonna manifest, not stay in your fantasy. The fourth area is career, your work and your career. And there's a lot of acception here. There's a lot of different way to look at these. The way I look at these, and the way I added also work, is that everybody does something for the majority of their day. Even retired people, even mothers that don't take a salary for mothering their children, for raising their children. So this is not just a career if you are in a business environment where you are building a career. This is what you are spending your working hours doing. probably you find important or is a passion of yours. That's what this area is about. The following area is money and wealth. And I add wealth because it's about the abundance in your life. It's about having the means to live the life as you want it. And sometimes it's money, and sometimes it's not directly with money. Sometimes we have a lot of perks because we do certain things. There are people that have such a network of voluntary work that they end up having a lot of free things offered to them because other people are so grateful. Just giving an example. Or there are people that perceive wealth in a different way from money. The possibility to spend time with a certain category of people. People that love to spend time with children and may not earn a lot of money with it, but they experience it as wealth, as being able to do what they love. Maybe this is a bit too far-fetched, but I want to expand it a little bit. It's not just about your paycheck. It's about wealth. It's about abundance in the wildest and widest way you can interpret it. The other one, the following one, is, I call it entertainment and pleasure. And it's about what you do in your life that has not a specific purpose of being productive, that is not specific for taking care of someone. It's really just to relax. You could think of going out, going to the movie, going to the sauna. And there are some things that you could put both here and in health. But going to the sauna, you could be also something you consider the way you take care of your health. This is the kind of flexibility I was talking about at the beginning. Feel free, be flexible. We have still two to go in the official Wheel of Life. One is environment. By environment, we mean it's meant the house where you live, the area, the town. Is it really polluted? Do you have green areas? And the parameter to see is the environment satisfying or not, it's your own taste. There are people that love to live in the countryside and people that love to live in an apartment downtown. How good is your environment in comparison to your dream environment? And that is where you live, but also where you work. So take a look at that. See if you add that in your Wheel of Life. The last one is growth and learning. And here there's a lot you can consider studying, going to university. You can consider courses you do to grow in your work. You can consider learning to meditate, doing more spiritual thing. Or maybe you are in a job like mine where I am, well, I do it with a lot of pleasure, but there is some expectation about me learning new things and spending time with colleagues, learning new things every year. So that's also a thing that would fall under the growth and learning. So now the question is, how does your wheel, the one you made at the beginning after the story of the glass jar, looks like in comparison to the one I just presented you, I just described to you? And just reflect on what are the differences and what do these differences make you think about? Did you just miss a couple of areas because you didn't think entertainment was supposed to be an area of your life, for instance? Or did you have much more because you had an area for each of your children, and or maybe you just family and friends, you put them separate? Just notice how different it is and look at it as this is who I am. So the one you made at the beginning is your identity. It tells you something about what you find important in life, and that's all good. And by all means, keep using that wheel, your own Wheel of Life, because it's your life at the end, for the exercises that follow. The next exercise is really simple, but there's so much that can be discovered by doing that. it's about giving a score to the satisfaction that you have in your life for each of the areas. So take your own wheel and just write a number, or fill in, fill in, like drawing in that section, imagining that there is a line with the 10 like a centimeter thing, and there is a 1 nearby the center, and there is a 10 nearby this external circle. And for each area you can give a score to the level of satisfaction you have, and you can color maybe that the triangle that from the number you chose towards the center of the circle. And at the end, if you do this for all areas, you get to a kind of a graphic thing. You get a sense of how much satisfaction is in your life in general. So because this is live, I'm just gonna give you some time and let you do this a bit instinctively. And it's about how you feel, your level of satisfaction, how satisfied you are. It's not about something cognitive or something you have to present to someone else. It's not what the world expects from you, but what you really would like to have in your life. That's what it is about. So, this said, I'm gonna leave you a little bit more time, and then I'm gonna ask you some question about what you found out. Now, you have all these all these numbers, all these sort of triangles, and you probably found out the areas where you're more satisfied. Some areas maybe were a bit difficult to fill in, and now it's time to reflect a little bit, to go a bit deeper. So the first question is, what was the experience of giving these scores to your satisfaction? Was it easy, or is it really difficult for you to think in terms of how satisfied I am? So that's the first reflection, how comfortable you are in moving towards what you want to move towards, what satisfies you. Maybe you are really concentrated with what's your duty, what you're supposed to do, what other expects from you. There's a lot of us parents, people with a lot of responsibility on their work, that sometimes lose sight of what they really want, what's the desire, the wish, how satisfied they are, how happy they are. The second question is, if you look at the discovery that you make, what is the most relevant discovery? Maybe a bit surprising, or maybe something you knew, but you didn't realize what the big picture was. Maybe you knew that in that area there were problems, but you didn't realize how the rest looked like, and that makes an impression on you. So what is this area, and what is the impression you have? And also, how do you feel about that? What's the feeling? What's the sensation that emerges? Are you scared, or are you hopeful because you realize the rest is going so well? Are you angry? What do you notice? Are you surprised? Are you surprised of what you're finding out, or is something that's majority of what you're seeing? You knew it. It's nice to sit down in a kind of a visual way, but you're actually not finding out nothing surprising, or maybe there is some surprise. Maybe you're even surprised about how it was to fill it in. Maybe you thought it would have been difficult and it went really easy, or the other way around. Well, is there something you are worried about? If you look at the wheel, Is there maybe something that you realize you're really spending little attention, really little time on, and it doesn't feel good anymore? Or is there something else that is actually a bit troubling, a bit worrying if you look at the whole picture? What's the most important takeaway? What is the discovery you made that you say, wow, this is something I'm gonna take with me, this is something I'm gonna think about more, because this is really interesting? And is there something that needs immediate attention that if you look at how it is, you say, wow, this, I need to make a phone call, you know, I need to ask for help or do something right away. I didn't realize it was, you know, this picture is revealing something that triggers me to do something immediately. And now, as last question, if you look at the experience, if you look at everything that you find out, what is your biggest desire? What is the thing, not necessarily the most important, because we have responsibility towards other people, but if you really think just on yourself, what is your biggest desire here? What do you discover in your life that you really would like to pursue, that you really would like to do, to create, to feel? And allow yourself to feel that, you know. Sometimes a desire that becomes conscious can already be of great support, can give us happiness, even if it's not something we can realize today immediately. But knowing it makes you feel alive to know your desire. And this is also a nice way to finish this activity. The next activity I would like to do is, let me take a look. We're gonna go a couple of times more through the wheel. What I would like to do, well, you probably identified a problem doing this first exercise, or maybe you came already to this live stream knowing that there is an area in your life where you are a bit worried. So either way, you have an area where there is a red light going, where you are worried, where you are about to do something about it. And what I'm asking you to do now is to run through the rest of the wheel, and for each area, inventarize, name a few of two categories: stress factor and helping factor. Whatever, everything, you can divide everything in life in everything can be either one or the other. And I would say try to have at least find enough just as many helping factor as you have stressing factor. Ideal it would be if you can find some more, but it would be try if you can, because it would be really demoralizing if you would have 5 stress factor and just 1 helping factor in one area. But if that's the case, acknowledge that. The invitation is to be creative and to look, is this really the case? Is this really everything? And to help you finding more helping factor, I would like to tell you something more about what is an helping factor. You can have internal helping factors and resources, and external resources. So for internal resources, you can think of characteristic you have. It can be even physical. If your dream is to run a marathon and you are physically young, fit and trained already because you already go running, that's a resource. Those are all resources. If you want to go to the Olympics and you have some limitation physically, you may have to get creative around that. So that could be more on the stress factor, on the limiting factor. That's what I mean. And internal resources, internal help factor. aspect of yourself, practical thing. Personality. Personality. If you want to become a psychotherapist and you are already a really sensitive, empathic, but also really clear and communicative, those are internal skills you have and that you can really good use as support, as resources to develop in that direction. Also things you have learned. Maybe you want to go and live in Spain and you already speak Spanish. That's a skill. That's internal resources. External resources are things that are in your life. Could be people. If you want to go live in Spain and you know a lot of Spanish people where you live, you can ask information about how it is to live in Spain, for instance. Or maybe you want to learn a new trade, you want to learn to do gardening, and you know a lot of people that are really good at that, or people that have a mown loaner that you may use to you may know people, information, you may live in the right place. You know, I live in the Netherlands and I really would love to have aubergine in my town, but they don't grow here, so that's a bit of a stress factor. But if I want to cultivate any kind of cabbage, I'm in the perfect place. Here grows everything that is cabbage related, you know, so that would be my environment where I live is a resource, you know. If I really want a lot of sun and I live in a warm place, that's already a resource. This is the kind of thing. Or maybe I have I have a lot of money, a lot of free time, and those are useful in the one thing I want to realize. So how I could solve the problem in this specific way. So the activity that I suggest is that you take this area where you experience the problem, the challenge, and you go looking for the stress factor. You look for them to realize that they are there. If you ignore them, they're gonna play you, they're gonna stress you without you realizing them. When you know they are there, you can do something about it. So focus also on the most relevant, the one that have most influence. The helping factor, you go and inventorize them to know what do you have available eventually to tackle the stress factor. So this is, you could see there's kind of a mini problems inside of a bigger problem. And anyway, everything that happens in your life has a way of influencing the rest of your life. So with this activity, you become more aware and more grounded in how the situation that is troubling you at the moment is impacting every other areas of your life, and how every other areas of your life is impacting this problem area you are in. So maybe it's a bit complex. I'm gonna say it once more. You have this wheel of life. You have looked at the level of satisfaction, and you have identified one areas where you feel the challenge is bigger and it's more urgent to tackle. And now you're going to look at the other areas to see how these other areas influence this problem area. And the influence can be negative, in the sense that they make the challenge, the problem more difficult, or it could be support, could be in positive influence, could be resources you can use to solve the problem. Both need to be known, because the stress factor needs to be seen, to be addressed, and the positive factor needs to be recognized, to be used. And take some time here, and you can also do it as a kind of a oblique looking, where do you feel is the biggest storage of stress and help resources, stress factor and helping factor, limitation and motivation, encouragement, support factor. And you can also take it once, quickly looking at each area and see what is, some area maybe are really relevant for the problem. And some area may weight much more. Also noticing which area are more intertwined. For instance, money and career are really often intertwined for a lot of people, unless you are independently wealthy, or receive money in a different way from your work, or in many ways maybe you have investment, so money is more related to investment for you than to the work you do normally. And family and friends and the loved ones sometimes are also really close, really intertwined. So if you have a problem in one of the two, the other can be really heavily involved, influencing positively or negatively. The idea is to inventorize and realize if you have enough support to face the problem and all the stress factor that you discover around it. If you feel that you do not have enough support, don't get scared, because the next step is simply to become aware and realize and write down what do you need. Maybe you need to talk to some friends that can give you advice, that have been through this. Maybe it's about reading something, educating yourself about a certain topic, talking to a therapist. You never know. But now you know. Now you are more aware of the situation, and you can feel what's your next step. What do you need to do? So don't let eventual really long list of stress factors scare you, because when you know, you are already actually with a foot out of the problem. When you know, you have less of that problem, because when you see the problem, it is entirely. The more you find out about a situation, an issue, a problem, the more you're actually seeing it outside of yourself. And when you have that, you are not identified anymore. You see more clearly, and you are not anymore so emotionally involved. You can see it more clearly and think lucidly what's the next step. So take some time for that. And this very, 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 very last thing, what I wanted to suggest is that you look at your wheel of life, and you reflect on how much time, how much money, and how much energy and attention you are investing in each area of your life. And as you do that, you also look at what are the most important areas of your life. You already did that at the very, very beginning when you worked with the concept of the jar. So you can take that back a little bit, and what the idea is that you look at, do I invest the money, time, energy, and attention that it deserves to the most important part of my life, to the most important areas of my life, or am I actually investing more in areas that are different from my very first three priority, for instance? Why do I do that? Do I want to change that? Why do I want to change it? Why I don't? Maybe there are some things that you want to keep as they are. Maybe there are things that are really important for you, but you feel that they are okay as they are. And maybe you feel that there are areas that ask much more of you because they are troubling you. But become aware, because what could also happen is that you realize that the thing that you value the most, so for some reason ended up not receiving the attention, the energy, the time, and the money, and by money I mean resources, that they deserve, that you would like to give. Let's give you an example. Maybe you may realize that you are investing a lot of time, energy, effort, attention in your work, and that your family, that for you it's really important, have received much less of that. And that you feel I just give you an example, that you realize, I really need a nice holiday with my family this year. It really needs to happen. And that it's a way to invest time and money. And this is a really nice exercise that you can do over and over. and discover every time. And every time there is some kind, it grows, it expands the perception that you have of each area of your life, and you discover more and more what are the desires that you have in these in areas of your life. I enjoyed so much to share this with you, and I've actually so much more to share about this kind of thing. I really hope to see you again really soon, and I wish you a lot of fun and a lot of pleasure and a lot of becoming aware of your life with this activity.